Astral Aegis. Written by Sylvac. Chapter 8. Plans. Ponies would be under the impression that it would take a lot of time to prepare a training system for those that would be the future protectors of Equestria from interdimensional threats. They would think it would take weeks or maybe even months before any pony could be ready for that. I instead, as some ponies would say, threw that idea out the window.
As soon as possible?
Twilight and Silvershield screamed together.
That's the plan.
I calmly replied as Spike finished writing the rather short letter with a skeptical expression. "Are you sure about this?" Spike asked, only for me to give him a nod in response. Shrugging, he lit the letter with his magical flame before any other pony could do a thing to stop him.
Aether, you can't honestly have a plan for this already. Training a team to do something no pony has ever done before would take a rather complex schedule and resources.
Twilight shrieked. "I agree with the princess. You can't simply train ponies without some drills prepared. Do you even have any practice courses ready for them?" Silver commented.
No, but seeing that you two aren't going to stop anytime soon, I'll explain some things. Under normal conditions, most ponies in my former line of work are sent on the job with very little information to work with, if any. So we have to do things on the run, so to say. So I'm going to start tossing them things to do to teach them to stay on their hooves. Besides, there is really no way of setting up unpredictable cases for the recruits to take, short of having Pinky and the Crusaders plan some together. Though I don't think that will end well for Ponyville.
I replied as I rubbed my chin with a hoof, thinking about how that would turn out.
Regardless, the letter is sent, so we just have to wait for the recruits to show up. For now, I'm heading home. I had more than enough excitement for one day. Well, this is new,
I said to myself as I found myself on the ceiling of the Carousel Boutique in my dream. While unusual, I did find this change of scenery to be hopeful news that I was done with my funky dreams. Though it was odd that my last one was close to becoming true. My thoughts shifted to realization that this dream wasn't of my own making when the front door opened to reveal Princess Luna walking inside.
Aether, art thou here?
Luna asked, looking around in confusion before I alerted her with a cough. Looking up, she tilted her head in confusion as she said,
What art thou doing upon the ceiling?
Cocking an eyebrow, I replied,
Shouldn't you know? The letter said that you'd be the one making the dream for me this time.
Blinking, Luna let off a light-hearted chuckle as she said,
Oh yes, thou art right, let us amend this matter.
Lighting up her horn, I found myself being levitated off the ceiling and onto the floor.
Okay, going from upside down to normal by magic is an unusual experience. Though, can I ask you a little favor, Princess Luna?
Verily, what dost thou ask of us?
Well, do you mind talking to me like most ponies do? I admit that your way of talking, well, as Rarity would say, has a bit of flair, but it makes things a bit harder for me to understand, since Equestrian isn't my native language.
Luna looked at me for a moment, causing me to rub a hoof against one of my forelegs till she spoke.
A reasonable request. I only stuck to that due to a large number of foals finding the archaic way of speaking enjoyable. Regardless, do you find your current environment comfortable? Well, better than the usual destruction of Ponyville, which is actually disturbing to hear myself saying.
I answered as my ears folded down.
Yes, those dreams are perplexing. Though we have more important matters on hoof to discuss.
Shrugging, I replied,
Discuss away then, and don't be afraid to go with a formal, uncaring business approach. Dealt with that enough times to be used to it.
Blinking in confusion at first, Luna furrowed her brows in anger as she asked,
Why do you even suggest that I would address you in such a manner? 'Cause I'm pretty certain that we will be talking about various unpleasant things that are best dealt with in an uncaring approach, which I can't blame you for using in a way to help shield yourself from what I may have to say.
That is insightful, but I will not resort to such methods. Though I seek to sate my curiosity first, why are you so hostile to my sister? The damage to the barrier is repaired and we are making preparations to defend Equestria. Frowning, I answered.
I could explain, but I think that would instead lead to us debating that matter. So how about I just show you my memories as before? I must warn you though, what you will see is going to be quite a horrible sight.
I have witnessed countless nightmares from the dreams of ponies. I can handle what you have to show me. I was about to cock an eyebrow before I stopped myself, remembering that Luna had to deal with the nightmares about the Venonites that were spawned from the damage on the barrier. Closing my eyes, I focused on my memories as I tried to remember the details of a specific one. Opening them, I looked around as I beheld a familiar sight of a small cliff that overlooked a small city built by the natives of a newly discovered world. Luna, however, had her eyes focused on the city itself, for towers of smoke built from one side of the city. We could even hear the screams of horror from the populace, accompanied by the roars of horrible monsters, roars that I am certain Luna was familiar with.
Say hello to the worst case scenario, a Venonite infestation. Venonite invasions have occurred enough that would actually categorize the size and danger of an infestation. This one here is a stage 6 infestation, where many cities like this one and much of the world is ravaged by the Venonites. When a world is this heavily infected, standard protocol is to wipe the world clean of all life. Otherwise, the infestation could reach stage 7 and would take direct military involvement. That would of course result in millions of lives being lost in the process.
Looking at Luna, I saw that her face was full of disgust, probably at the sight of what Venonites would normally do to a world they came across. Before she could comment on the memory, I changed it to another one, this time placing us in one of the various interdimensional cities that I have been to. This caused Luna to pause as she observed the new environment, where she once again saw the tall building she beheld the first time I showed her my memories. Unlike that memory though, I brought us to the worst part of town. Here in the alleys and any other available places sat small shelters made out of scrap, where hundreds of people of various species milled about.
Here's the best case scenario if your world is discovered unprepared by a dimensional nation. Ponies would be just another species here, all looking for work and food, just trying to survive in a society that only cares about greed. Your culture will be forgot, as ponies are forced to spread to all other cities to look for work, as Equus would be taken over and turned into some colony. It won't be long after being discovered that all sapient life on Equus would be dying either from dangerous work or starvation.
I commented, pointing a hoof at the shrunken corpse of some poor soul that gave out from hunger. Banishing this memory, we returned to the Carousel Boutique. Turning to face Luna, I continued.
This is why I was still hostile to your sister. It may have been an accident, but it was still a grave mistake. Equus has been given the possibility of facing a bleak future, so it is up to those in charge to do everything they can to prevent that from happening.
Luna at first didn't say a thing, her face devoid of any emotion. She eventually broke her stoic trance, looking at me as she said, "I understand the stance you have against my sister, but you must forgive her for her actions. She did not bear any ill desires in her own travels to the mirror world. She was in grief of my banishment, and was turning to a different source in an effort to lighten up her burden. Even I forgave her when I learned that she was spending time with that world's Luna, for she only did so due to missing me so greatly. Staring in Luna's eyes, I could see in her eyes that her statement was genuine. Looking away from her, I grumbled for a moment before saying,
"Fine, I'll lighten up. I admit that she sort of looked like a grief-ridden mess after I confronted her about her actions. Though if she is blaming herself for my species change, please smack the backside of her head for me."
Luna reared her head back as she asked,
"Why should I do that?" "Because that would be foolish of her to blame herself for that. Sure, I didn't expect the gender change, but I'm experiencing actual happiness that I didn't feel since..."
I began to answer before pausing for a bit.
"Point is that out of this entire mess, my change and coming to Equestria is something that I would actually thank Celestia for. If I wasn't so frustrated with the mess we're in. Though I blame the ones in charge of the interdimensional nations more than her. So I don't bear any true desires to cause her harm in any way, nor do I dislike her. I'm just working off my frustration right now."
That is somewhat good to hear. Now, in response to the reply you have sent to my sister, she believes that within a few days the first wave of recruits will be ready and at Ponyville to begin training. Cocking an eyebrow, I replied,
"Huh. Celestia is certainly trying to get our defenses ready in a hurry."
I take it that their arrival is too soon?
"Not at all. I'll be ready for them when they arrive. I have some training in mind that will get rid of those not suited for the job. Though I hope to see Discord before they arrive. He can help a bit in regards to the initial training."
Frowning, Luna replied, "I thought you said you won't torment the recruits."
"Oh, it's not torture since they can quit any time they want. Further, what I am doing is going to be the basic stuff. If they can't handle that, then they really shouldn't be in here in the first place."
I highly doubt your intentions since you need Discord's aid.
"It's just a small thing. I promise you that nothing will be broken by it. At worst, it will cause some pain to the recruits only, but the squad isn't made for soft ponies. There's going to be a lot of pain so that they can be at their best."
Rubbing a hoof against the back of my head, I looked to the side as I said,
"Besides, it's better than experiencing it on the job."
Looking back at Luna, I saw that her face looked a bit sadder as she replied, "Very well, I will place my trust in your judgment. Though there is one last matter we need to address."
"What is it?"
"Your new status of a member of nobility, even if it is a low-ranking one, no offense. I just want to know you won't abuse the few privileges that come with it," Luna explained as she looked at me with a somber expression, awaiting my answer. Instead of answer, I just started to laugh at the idea, causing her to look confused before I began to explain.
"Luna, I barely know what things I could get from being a dame. All I know for sure is that it will help stop ponies from setting me on fire. At best, I might use it to shock the nobles who are annoying me about something silly."
"Shock them?"
"Well, how do you think they will react when they find a fellow noble that once had to eat garbage?"
At first, Luna's face was a mixture of shock, disgust, amusement, and sorrow, until I let out a chuckle. This allowed her to relax and laugh with me for a bit as she said,
"Oh, they would certainly be shocked to hear that. I'm glad that you will not be abusing your title. Sadly, I have to make my leave. I must return to safeguarding the dreams of ponies." "Good luck with that, Princess Luna. Though, no pony is having those nightmares anymore, right?"
"Thankfully, no. I have not seen any of those horrid things. I take it that is a sign that the barrier is truly repaired." Smiling in relief, I said,
"That's good to hear, Princess. It was nice talking to you."
"Likewise," Luna replied before she disappeared from my dream. Looking around, I saw that my dream didn't disappear when she did. Hence, with nothing to do, I decided to go wander around for the rest of the night. Thankfully, for the rest of my slumber, Dream Ponyville wasn't devastated for once. This caused me to hope that this is a sign that things are turning around for me for once. And so concludes this chapter as well. Aether, please don't jinx yourself. You have so much to do already, and the way stories usually go, things will get worse before they get any better. To that, I will say again, thank you all for watching the series so far, and in the coming days you will see that I am re-uploading the first 3 chapters of Astral Aegis. I tried to get monetized. You probably already know this from last video, but I tried to get monetized and YouTube said no. My content is too samey, and you probably already saw that I changed how my images work right now. So I'm going to do that for those 3 videos as well, but the story content will remain exactly the same as it was. Hopefully by next time that I try to get monetized, I will be able to prove that I have added something to this content. I sure believe that I did, and I hope that you see that I am doing something of value and adding to the story. If that's not true, then please comment down below, and depending on how the comments go, I might try other avenues to garner a little bit of extra cash. You know how things are with inflation and all. But that's for future and way later down the line. The story is going to be continued, and yeah, until we meet again in the next video, bye bye!